What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our Let's Play here on the Bedrock edition. Now, today I've got a couple of things planned, and first of all I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the changes I've made. As you can see, I've done a couple of the larger trees, like here and there. I need to sort out the vines, I need to get some string on them, because they are starting to get a little bit out of control on some of the trees. Like that one's completely overgrowing. That one's not too bad, because that's the latest one that I've just done. But I also done a lot of terraforming over this area here where the pathway goes up. I also put a sort of building shell just around the base of our kelp farm. Now I am planning on putting a building on the top of this if I can make my way up this sort of rickety pathway here. This pathway is obviously going to go off over here. We've actually got a flower forest which is a little bit of ways over there, but I'm planning on doing something with that later on. But I am planning on building a proper building on top of this. I'm not too sure what sort of shape or style to go with, because regardless of what it is, it's going to be pretty large. So I may do like a sort of mansion style building just to cover up the top of it, because otherwise it was just a bit of an eyesore. It was just sitting like a big mound of dirt in the sort of very close to our very big cathedral build. So I thought I'd neaten it up and just sort of smooth it off and do the terraforming to make it look decent. I've also moved the leaf blocks to either side of the pathway rather than dotting them in the actual pathway, because it was just a little bit too green in the centre. I also put a fountain outside the central point of our cathedral. I've done the whole waterlogged half slabs, and I think it actually looks a lot nicer, because when you're standing here, the depth of the actual fountain isn't as deep as the pathway. It's actually one bit higher, and then I've done a waterlogged half slab as the actual source. And then I've got a couple of bits of the mossy cobblestone, so I think it looks fairly decent. I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out anyway. And then what else have I done? I've just been pretty much doing bits and pieces around here. I've got a load more pumpkins growing where I'm using it for the lighting. It's a lot easier and cheaper to get than glowstone. Other than that, just done the pathways, done a bit of bone mealing here and there just to see how it looks. I am planning on doing a graveyard for our cathedral, probably on this side here. And I've got some fun plans for that, but that's for a later episode. Another couple of the larger trees dotted about over here. As you can see, like the vines have got well out of hand on this one. This was like one of the first ones I done. That was the actual first one I done. But all of them I grew in the same way. I just force grew the larger oak trees and sort of done 3 or 4 of them bunched up together. So it still comes out looking very random and very natural, but just a little bit of a custom touch to it by doing the tree trunks in a sort of 4 formation. Now, although I didn't manage it in the last episode, I am trying to keep track of my time as best as possible. So I've actually created a notice board outside of our church, because most churches tend to have notice boards outside of them. And I thought we'd keep track of our episodes and what we're planning on doing. So in today's episode, we've got the update, which I've just done and run through it, just the bits and bobs that I've changed. So that's now off the docket. Let's just do one of them, put that up there for future. We've got achievement hunting, so we've got to get an achievement, and the one I've got planned is fairly simple, so that's going to take no time at all. And then I want to move on to our main project today, which is an enchanting area for our penta spawner. Because as you can see, I'm back up to level 63, and because I haven't got a chanting area over there, I've just let the levels, and I'm more than likely going to die and lose all the levels again. Pretty much like I did in the last episode, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I actually want to use the levels. So I want to sort out an enchanting area, and I want to sort out a sort of mass book storage thing for that, or some sort of auto picking of the books after they've all been sorted. Just something to do with redstone to make the actual build a little bit more interesting, a bit more fun. Just a little bit of a difference to it. Now down below we've got 3 of the very larger projects which are on my list that need to get done, and it's a quad iron golem farm. I've got some plans for that, and it's going to be quite different to ones that I've ever attempted to do in the past. I found a double witch hut, so I definitely want to get started on a double witch hut farm, and an industrial potion brewery. Now that one is going to be a very large redstone intensive build. The quad iron golem farm is just going to be extremely, it's going to be a lot of time sinking work, so that may be spread over a couple or 2 or 3 episodes, but before it gets to night time I actually want to make our way in here so then we get our achievement done. I always seem to mispoint it. There we go. Yeah, this door is still working perfectly fine, although I'm fairly sure that chest out there that I've sort of got the hoppers running to is probably running quite full by now, because the amount I go in and out of here trying to get stuff and sorted and whatnot. But yeah, today's achievement should hopefully be a simple one. I've put the eggs on hold so then we can do that and then we can turn that back off just so that they carry on getting hatched. And hopefully, how is it you make a cake? What am I missing? Ah, sugar. Why is it I thought that it was wheat? Was it wheat or is it just eggs, milk and sugar? For some reason in my head, and I'm running past the sugar cane. In my head I had wheat, so I went and grabbed wheat as a sort of preparation for it, but yeah, I guess not. So if we do one of them, let's grab some sugar. Let's just throw some eggs. Oh really? The one egg I throw manages to... I'm just going to leave him wander around. No doubt he'll probably find his way to get killed somewhere. Have I got a crafting table anywhere? There we go. And if we craft a cake, that should hopefully be an achievement. Do I have to eat the cake or do I have to place the cake? I don't want to place the cake down. So I'm just going to wait here silently until we get an achievement for it. No? Apparently the Xbox wants to be really slow today. Okay. Well, I'm fairly sure that was an achievement. Do you have to place the cake down for you to get the achievement? And can you pick a cake back up with Silk Touch? Oh no, there it is. Oh, okay, I was very close to placing that down, so we're going to put that up in there as an achievement cake. Happy days. Now I'm going to head on over to our penta spawner and I'll join you over there. Alright then guys, we're now over here at the penta spawner and I've still got the drowned switched on, so they're all collecting now. But the area that we're going to be building the enchanting place sort of thing in is just over here. Now we've still got our haste 2 beacon up, so clearing out an area shouldn't actually take me too long. But while I'm clearing it out, I'm actually going to have a think about what type of sort of system that I want in place, because I want a system where we can like pull a lever or press a button or do something to call the books to us. Now I was initially planning on having a main library in town, but then I was thinking that when you're putting books, how much gravel is there? When you're putting books on items and combining books, you tend to blow through your levels pretty quickly. And our penta spawner isn't that close to where our home is. It takes me around about 4 or 5 minutes to actually get here through the nether at the moment. So I would much rather have our sort of all of our books in one area over here where we can gather our levels. And it's going to be fun and games because I know there's spawners up there and there's spawners up there. Yeah, so I was hoping to be able to get our sort of mass book collection area. I've still got eggs and all the stuff on me. I'm really going to have to sort out my inventory before I carry on. Yeah, so as I was saying, without getting too distracted, I was hoping to get all of our books in one area, so then when we want to enchant like a full set of diamond armor, we can just call our books down to get sent to us, and we can put the items or enchants we want on certain items. Are we going to get any chickens over here, do you reckon? Let's see. No? Probably because we've got about 500 fish right above our head, but yeah, okay. So yeah, let me clear out this area, sort of think out an idea of what I actually want to do with the book section, and then I'll bring you back. Alright then guys, I spent a good half hour to 45 minutes clearing it out and getting some sort of system laid up, or laid out should I say. And initially I was initially thinking to do it in this sort of manner where we would have buttons running along here, because I want obviously a dropper to shoot the books into a water stream, which will then be dropped down to us about here where we're going to have our enchanting table set up. and we'll probably have an anvil or something sitting on top or underneath the enchanting table. But yeah, so I was thinking about having like buttons just hooked up to redstone torch towers, run into each of the droppers to actually dispense the book, because there's 33 enchants in total on the Bedrock edition. There's 34 on Java because they've got the what's it called? The sweeping edge, I think it is, for the swords. That was part of the combat update. But now I have changed my mind completely, because if we're going to have to run around all the way around here and hit a button to then have a book to then be dropped all the way over here, I may as well just have the books in chests. Now the situation that I was running into is that I was running low on food, so I actually grabbed the bread from all of the chests that we raided from this place, and as you can see, we've got some cheaty floaty tracks up there that I need to get rid of still. Yeah, so I was sort of playing around with an idea, because there's 33 different items, so trying to fit 33 levers, buttons, or some sort of switching mechanism directly around an enchanting table was going to be increasingly difficult, because you can't have levers put in item frames or buttons put in item frames on Bedrock like you can on the console and Java. There was no way of combining spaces, so to be able to label it and then also have a button or lever would have taken up 66 blocks worth of space around us. So it would have been going up to like that sort of height for us to be able to hit a button. But then I started coming up with an idea that the observers actually transmit a signal, which I didn't realize, from item frames. So if we grab, have we got, actually we've got some redstone torches on us. So if we go like so, and then we go like so, and grab one of them back. And then we want to grab an item frame on us, put that on there, and just grab some rotten flesh. So each turn you turn it, it will send a signal pulse going up. So what I was thinking is that we can actually have the observer blocks directly around. Now fitting 33 of them alone is minusing 33 blocks out of the equation, because this way I can name items to put into the signs, which will then show up when you sort of hover over it. And I can use certain items for certain enchants as well. So I will use tridents for all the trident enchants. I'll use pieces of armor for their particular enchants, swords for theirs, pickaxes for theirs, and so what. And that way it sort of eliminates having to have a sign and a button or lever, which is extremely handy. But it also means that my system that I've got in place, I've got my auto kill system on, so that's just feeding stuff through. So the system that I've now got in place, I'm going to have to actually tear this all down and sort of come up with a layout to have 33 observers completely around me, which is going to be a little bit fun. But I had no idea that the observers pick up signals from item frames. And the one good thing that I've also realised with observers is that not only do they take signal from each other from the back, they can actually pick up signals from the sides of one another. So if we grab like, oh no, not you. Let's just grab you, grab another redstone torch. So then when we turn this, they should both give a little flicker, like that. And there's also another good thing which I didn't realise about observers. They can only read and send signals, but they cannot actually directly transmit signals themselves, as in they are not a conducting block. Which means, can I give a demonstration of what I mean with that? Yeah, so if I had a redstone, let's say some redstone dust going into the side of that, if we light it with, oh my god, get off my hotbar. Let's grab a redstone torch on us. If we light that so it's powered, and then say stick a redstone torch on the side of that, Now, any other block that redstone torch would be off, which means these actually sort of behave like a see-through block or a transparent block. I was trying to think of the word there. It behaves like a transparent block there. It won't actually send signals through it, which is extremely handy because what I am planning is actually just erasing the idea of having redstone torch towers entirely and just having the entire system run directly from observer blocks, which is going to be a little bit fun in games because obviously observer blocks are quite hard to sort of place and get to go in the right direction, and we're going to have 33 individual lines going to every single one of our droppers. Now I've actually got, I think it's 38 droppers in total, so then that allows us to have 3 extra droppers should any new enchants be added in the future, which is sort of like future-proofing the idea for myself rather than having to make adjustments to it later. But what I am going to do is I'm now going to go painstakingly tear this down. If you're wondering how comes I'm using bone blocks, it's because we're getting bones from this farm, and yeah, I like the look of the bone blocks. I don't like it when they go dark though, because you get these big massive sort of dark gaps, so if we do use them, we're going to have to keep it like lit up, because even there you still get a little bit of a dark patch. Either that or just use them in strips. In strips they don't tend to have the dark patch, which is extremely handy. But yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to crack on, get the sort of layout of the observer blocks in place, and hopefully have something to show you by the next cut. Yeah, so I'll catch you back in a sec. Okay, so a bit more work has now been done, and again I am hungry. As you can see, my levels are going up a little bit. Every now and again I'll switch diffs off of auto kill, and I'll kill a few because my pickaxe kept on wearing down. And yeah, so I have to keep on repairing it every now and again. Also, I got absolutely battered by some cave spiders up there. There was 2 spawners right next to each other, and yeah, I got poisoned, and it was not fun times at all. So as you can see, I've got the observers laid out. Where the polished diorite is obviously where we're going to have our bookshelves for the enchanting table. Enchanting table is going to go smack bang in the middle there. Probably have anvils dotted about around the outside, but that's all cosmetic work to be done at another time. So here we have, what's it, 10, 20, 30, 35 observers, and I've cut our 38 down to 35 of the droppers as well. But now it does mean that I am actually going to have to try to figure out how to run all of these observer lines into all of the droppers. Because where you can see all the polished diorite and the, what is it, packed ice, is where we're going to be having our water streams come down. So if I just hop up there quickly, hopefully there's no endermite. That's probably the first time today I've thrown one without an endermite spawning. Thank God for that, they've been battering me as well. So yeah, we're going to have water streams coming down here, then it will drop down here. There's a 8 long gap to this here drop here, to this here drop here, yep. Overusing words, that's a great time. Now, where it drops down to this point, obviously this is the 8th block, so the water won't be flowing down into this bottom section. We'll then have a separate water stream flowing from this end and this end, flowing down to here, where I'm planning on having a, what is it called? Fence, yeah, a fence gate. Fence gate here to stop the water from flowing, but it will allow the books to actually drop down to us. And hopefully I'm going to have to put some sort of roof on top of it. I'm also going to have to sort out a storage. Now that's what the half slab little system directly above this. Oh, don't fall. Oh, for God's sake. Can we get up there, please? Thank you. The half slabs are up here because this is where I want to be able to load up our droppers. Because obviously I don't want to be able to have access to every single dropper individually. What I'm going to be doing is putting a hopper into the back of all of these top ones and then whacking a double chest on top. So that way we'll have at least a double chest minimum storage for every single enchant type. And for these lower down ones, we're going to have, what, another 2 or 3 hoppers worth of space for it. So that's another 15 slots for the enchanted books. So yeah, work is getting done on it, although it is a little bit tedious trying to work in this area because it is just, it wouldn't bother me so much, but because you've got gravel, wood, and stone all in one area, I'm constantly having to switch tools to sort of clear stuff away, and I even have to use my sword on the cobwebs, and yeah, so that's 4 tools in total I'm having to switch around to using just to clear the area so I can work. But it is coming along. I'm quite happy with the way it's looking. Obviously, none of the cosmetics I've done is done whatsoever. All the cosmetics are going to be relying on this one little area here. So our ceiling may actually have to be packed ice because we're going to have to access the item frames atop of these guys up here. So that bit coming along there is probably going to have to remain there. As opposed to the rest of the cosmetics, I have absolutely no idea. I'm sort of trying to focus and figure out which way we're going to be running the observers. But yeah, what I am going to do is I'm definitely going to have to run back to base and get some more observers because I've only got 26 left, so it means quite a bit more crafting. I'm more than likely going to have to go get some nether quartz as well because it does use that. Now, for the first line, the bottom 5 there, what I'll probably end up doing is, say, bring it out by 1 and then bring it down by 1. And we don't want it running directly along the floor, so we'll probably run it directly along back here. And then, just to be safe, we're going to run it to this point here. Have we got any diorite on us by any chance? Yeah, we do. And then we can sort of hop directly over it like an absolute plum. But yeah, if we hop back up here, then we can run them all the way up here to the back of our... Excuse me, I need some room to work. Back here, then what we're going to have to do is have them running into a solid block. I was initially planning on just running them directly into the redstone torch towers to limit us on how many we had to use. But then it's so much simpler just use the observers to do these because you can run them along, then straight up, and then diagonally, and you can run them pretty much whichever way you want to. And the reason how comes I've run it into a block behind the actual dropper is because if you run them directly into the dropper itself, each time it powers that dropper, unfortunately droppers can transmit signals from one to another. So if I was running it directly into the dropper itself, it would then power both of the droppers either side of it. And that's something that we definitely don't want. So we're just running it into a solid block behind the dropper. And then when that is activated, it will spit something out. So let's just make sure that is as planned. So have we got an item frame anywhere that we can nick? I could have swore that I had one on me. There it is. And grab a random item. Mr. Moody, can you please get off my screen? Thank you very much. So if we put an item in there, that is running to the furthest back dead center one, if I'm correct. Oh, so that should be running to this block just here. And if we then put, say, some packed ice in there, hop on back down. Thank you. Very elegant landing. So if we turn that, did that not transmit a signal? Or am I just too far away from the dropper to hear it? I'm fairly sure that we'll be able to tell if we just hop back up here. Okay, well, we can just jump directly over it. Oh my god, working in here is going to be such a nuisance. Yeah, so that spat out the packed ice just as I hoped. Happy days. So I'm fairly sure this system's going to work. I'm going to get to running all of the observers and I'll show you what absolute mess it turns out to be. So yeah, I'll catch you back after I have the fun and games running them. Alright then guys, now it's actually been quite a while later for me trying to run these the way that I've had to run them. And my god did it use more observers than I ever imagined it to. Let me pick up that bit of coal, because that was just a demonstration that I was doing for myself to make sure it was all working and wasn't sending signals to the wrong droppers. But yeah, I've managed to get all of the observers in place. I'm up to level 67 now, where obviously still killing them every now and again. So let me just try to get around here to show you sort of what hell that I've had to go through to run all of these. So all the ones along the bottom run directly along the back, go straight up to the droppers at the back. Then we got the next level split off to the left and right sides. And then the center one, the one in the middle level runs to that side. The one in the middle level on the higher up one, I do believe, runs over to this side. And then the ones on the side are pretty much simple, well, a lot more simpler than running the ones in the center, because they just run directly up each side. And yeah, so they just pretty much correspond to their right side. So these ones run to all the ones on this side, the ones on that side run all the way to the ones on that side, and then we have one on either left and right hand side run to this side and this side just to finish them off. But if I manage to get a better sort of angle, show you what's going on. No, Endermite, thank you. I've been having to use ender pearls quite a lot. As you can see, I've got some better food on me because I've had to run back to my base 3 times now to make more observers. It has used, I think, how many stacks was it? It was something like 1 stack per every 2 lines that I was running. So it was well over nearly half a double chest full of observers that I've had to use for it. And yeah, running it was extremely fun. But I put the water streams in because I wanted to test it, and I have no idea where. I believe the coal ones, if they're on the center line, is it going to be somewhere around here? Oh, I think is it somewhere over here? Or have I used up all the coal in my test? Let me throw some more coal in that center one. I think it is that one that I was doing the test with. Can we drop down here? Yeah, we can. So if we turn that, I heard it, but yep, and there's our coal. So the reason how comes I had steak, or is it steak that it's called? No, cooked beef, either side of that dropper is just to make sure that it wasn't setting off droppers either side when it's being activated, and to ensure that it was only sending out one at a time. So each time we turn it, it's going to then spit out another one, so we can have all of our 33 enchanted books, which will be corresponded by items in item frames that I'm going to have to go through the pain of making the items and then naming them in anvils and then putting them in item frames. The only one thing that is really going to bug me for being someone who's very... I tend to need things being symmetrical and neat and organised. Although most of my projects tend to be a mess, they tend to be an organised mess in the way that I understand it. And yeah, so if you look at the way that I've run the observers, I've run the left hand side the exact same way that I run the right hand side. The center, I was really annoyed with the fact that I couldn't run the center ones the exact same way, but that's nothing you can do. That's an odd number. When you're working with odd numbers, you're going to get in a situation that one's got to go one way and the other's got to go the other. But yes, I think it's going to work out alright, but I've also got the fun and games now of when I put the item frames on here, I then have to match it with the correct dropper up there, which means I'm going to have to chase out every single line and then put actual signs on the chest at the top. So when I do a load, oh my god, a load of book enchants, it's going to be extremely simple for me to just run along that half slab line over there. I think I even got rid of my ladder that I was running out of room back here. Yep, I definitely did just get rid of my ladder completely. So if we sort of make our way up to the half slabs, and obviously nearly die again. Awesome. So yeah, so what I want to happen is I'm probably going to have signs. How would I have the signs on a double chest? Now the half slabs are bottom half slabs, so the chest can sit directly underneath them. But what I could probably do is have a wall running along either side here, and actually have the other side of the chest coming out on this side rather than this side, because we're going to have a double chest up above each dropper. And if I have it coming out this side, and then I can have signs running along this back wall just here. and then that way it will be easy for me just to throw the books into the correct chest, and then I'll call upon them when and as I need them. But yeah, this has been a very, very big project and very, very time-consuming project, to be honest with you, and I'm extremely running late in the day now. I was hoping to be able to get this done and actually sort of all the item frames done and all the stuff named, but I've not put a video out for, I think it's over a week now, and that was because not only was I hooked on No Man's Sky and still currently am, so I put a lot of time into playing that, but I also had quite a bad bug where I just, you know, when you just feel proper rough, and although I wasn't absolutely gone to the point where I couldn't even play, but there was no way I was going to be able to record, because when you're feeling that rough and down, it comes across in the videos, and I don't like that. I didn't want it coming across in my video. But it's okay to have your bad days, it's okay to have your good days, everyone does, and it's just something that people have to deal with, unfortunately. And yeah, I had to deal with it, and it's not fun feeling rough and out of it and not being able to focus properly, because I do enjoy playing, and the main thing with my Minecraft world is that I don't want to do stuff off camera that I think you guys may want to see, which involves quite a lot of my big projects like this monstrosity that we're creating at the moment. But yeah, we're definitely run over the 25-minute mark now, and I think I'm just going to give up trying to get it under 25 minutes, but unfortunately that is going to have to do it for today, because it's extremely late for me, and I definitely want to be able to get this video edited and out for you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong with the recording. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully by the beginning of the next episode I would have got all the item frames done, and we can knock out the cosmetic works probably at the beginning of the next episode and then move on to something else, because I hate spending 2 episodes in a row in the same place. I don't think it's enjoyable being stuck watching the same person in the same place day after day. So I like to mix it up, like to change it up, and we've got the Swearleys, and that's because of our voice break. That's because of our beacon over that way. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. Bye bye.